Okay, team, today we are going to learn the air squat, the back squat, and the front squat. So how this is going to play out, I am going to teach you the air squat, what we're looking for as coaches when you are squatting, and then I'm going to have you pause the video and work on the prescribed little workout that we have there, which is just some air squats, trying to pay attention to what I have cued for you. And then I'm going to have you come back to the video and we're going to talk about back squats. And then I'm going to have you pause and then we're going to talk about front squats. If you are an athlete who is at home, for the back squats and the front squats, we are still going to talk about how you're going to set up when you get to the gym and what we're looking for as far as positions and how you're supposed to be moving. And then I'll have you practice with some equipment at home. For the air squat, we start here because this is basic movement mechanics. So we call it an air squat because that means that you have no equipment, it is just your body. You're going to hear some very, very common terminology, things like chest up, butt back, knees out. What we're saying, what we're meaning when we're saying that is I want to make sure that your chest stays up. So I don't want you squatting like this because this is not a really great position, especially when we get to be doing Olympic weightlifting where I have to keep my chest up to be able to balance the weight. You'll also see why it's important when we front squat. Knees out means that I want those knees driving over the toes or slightly outside of the feet. Why this is important is because we need to use the outsides of our hips, right? When we did the lateral walk, we woke the sides of our hips out. You probably felt it a little bit spicy. It's super, super important that when we squat, we incorporate all of our leg muscles because it helps us have the strongest squat. So I want you to be mindful of when you're squatting that your knees are staying here or out here and not doing this, okay? Sometimes you'll notice when you squat, especially heavy, they have a tendency to come in a little bit. That's okay, but starting position is always here. Now, butt back means that I'm trying to be mindful of engaging my hips and my glutes as I squat. So you don't have to have this dramatic butt back, but we want to be mindful of we don't squat like this, okay? We always squat, sending our butt back as we squat down so that we have a nice balanced position. The last thing that we want you to be thinking about is making sure that given your mobility, your range of motion currently, we want you trying to get your butt below your knees when you squat, which is referred to as squatting below parallel. So a lot of people, you'll notice, they squat and they stop here, right? Again, from a longevity standpoint, we want to be able to poop in the woods. We want to be able to get our butt below our knees. But also, from a sports-specific standpoint, when we're performing those Olympic lifts, you'll learn all about this next week and the week after. We need to be able to squat below parallel so we can get our body as far down to the ground as possible to catch that barbell. It'll make more sense when you learn about the snatch and the clean. So, if you have the mobility, if your knees and your hips allow you to get your butt below your knees, we want it looking like this. So I want you trying to get into a deep and active squat. Active means that I'm consciously using my hips and my legs to keep that pelvis in this position. This is a passive squat. This is a little kid, coloring, hanging out, right? Active is tight and it's work and I don't want to stay here forever, okay? So, putting it all together, chest up, knees out, making sure that I get that hinge motion and dropping below parallel, it is going to look something like this. Okay? I use my hands as a guide to help me ensure that I'm keeping my chest up because if I keep them low, right, where does my chest go? Lift them up, okay? So I want you to stop the video now. I want you to either record yourself or set yourself up in front of a mirror and watch how you are squatting and see if you can be mindful of those cues. Chest up, knees tracking over feet, making sure that we are getting a hinge motion, right? And seeing how deep in our squat we can go. Go ahead and pause it, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the back squat.